the healthcare industry makes money on you being sick and staying sick. And this is where you run into the ugly side, because these insurance companies, they have a fiduciary duty to their investors to be as profitable as possible. But at the same time, you're denying claims on any basis that you can to increase profit margins, and people die in the process. So this is why we have this horrible situation where you have a for-profit healthcare system that's run by insurance, and this insurance company or these insurance companies are doing everything in their power to not validate your claims. They try to deny it, and it's evil. Here's the thing, right? When it comes to this socialist ideology, I talked about this a little bit on when I was on the campus. Somebody asked me what my thoughts were when it came to, healthcare and everything else like that. And what I will say is this: though I think capitalism is one of the best ways to ensure that you're, incentivizing productivity, innovation, ingenuity, there are negatives to capitalism, right? And just so you guys understand, no economic model is foolproof. None, right? Every single one of them has its inherent flaws and benefits, right? Now, when it comes to the concept of socialism, socialism can work in some manners, okay? And interestingly enough, people call, Mustache Man and his crew, Nazis or whatever, but really what it stood for was the National Socialist Party. And with that mantra, your boy, Mustache Man was able to bring Germany from the poorest country, right, to one of the strongest countries in a couple of years. Now, when it comes to socialism, right, I'm not necessarily a fan of socialism, but I will say that when it comes to healthcare, if you are going to implement any type of semblance of socialism, I think it should be in the healthcare system, and I'll explain why. The reason why I say this is because capitalism, right, spurs ingenuity and innovation, etc. This is great for the medical industry because it inspires people to come up with, new remedies, new medicine, new technological breakthroughs that might help someone diagnose a disease earlier or be able to cure ailments, whatever it is. But the negative of that is that it's very difficult to run a healthcare system and exercise ethics while simultaneously also trying to turn a profit. Does that make sense? A for-profit healthcare system is good in the realm where it inspires innovation and ingenuity, but it's bad because human beings are human beings, and the inherent need to be greedy will rear its ugly head in a space that isn't necessarily conducive or good to be greedy. We're talking about people that are vulnerable, old people, poor people, sick people that need medicine and need aid, where now they don't have access to it because we have greedy profiteers trying to make as much money as possible instead of actually get people healthy. And then on top of that as well, the United States is one of the few countries, guys, that advertises drugs. I don't know if you guys know that. All my international guys in here, you guys know what I'm talking about. The United States is one of the few fucking countries that advertises drugs, prescription drugs, right? This is why we have so many fat people. That's why we have so many people on antidepressant pills. This is why we have so many people in this for-profit pharmaceutical fucking giant. Look, I think the only realm really where elements of socialism can be acceptable is in the healthcare industry. And the only reason why I'm saying that is because you need something to balance out the inherent greed that's going to come during the course of a for-profit healthcare system. A for-profit healthcare system, though it will allow for ingenuity and innovation, it will also lead to greed and people fucking dying on shit that is preventable. And we don't want that. There's no reason why American citizens who live in the best country in the world shouldn't have access to healthcare and die. That's ridiculous. How is it that we got fucking Israelis taking our tax dollars and niggas got free healthcare? They don't got to worry about shelling out no shekels to get insulin. And I know a lot of you guys here have, your grandmother, your grandfather, maybe an aging loved one, right? That needs access to this stuff that can't afford it. So I do think if we are going to implement any type of socialism, it needs to be in the healthcare industry. And the reality also, right, is that this is a problem. And it's been a problem for a very long time. Why do you think these radical Democrats are like cheering on Luigi Mangione, right? Why do you guys think that Luigi Mangione fucking kills this guy in cold blood in New York City, shoots him in the back of the head at 6 o'clock in the morning after stalking him, writes in the bullets, denied depose delay, right? Which comes from a famous book. And why does he have bitches lining up at his goddamn trial? Well, we know that he's a Chad, fine, whatever, pause. But also, the reason why is because this has been a problem in the United States for a very long time. The healthcare industry makes money on you being sick and staying sick, okay? This is why when that healthcare CEO was murdered, no one cared. I was like one of the few people like, what the fuck? This is ridiculous. But people were cheering it on because they're like, yeah, who cares? This guy is the establishment. This guy is the reason why people are dying. This guy is the one that's, pushing for, more profits, right? So, and it's interesting too, because after Luigi conducted that murder, interestingly enough, they, United Healthcare stopped denying as many claims. And then after United Healthcare stopped denying so many claims, the investors came in and said, what the fuck are y'all doing? You need to start denying these claims again. Okay? We need you to start hitting them with the denied. So I can make some more. And this is where you run into the ugly side, because these insurance companies, right? They have a fiduciary duty to their investors to be as profitable as possible. But at the same time, you're denying claims on any basis that you can to increase profit margins, and people die in the process. So this is why we have this horrible situation where you have a for-profit healthcare system that's run by insurance, and this insurance company or these insurance companies are doing everything in their power to not validate your claims. They try to deny it. And if you guys don't believe me, these insurance companies hire investigators, they hire actuaries, they hire some of the best forensic accountants, they hire all these people to calculate how profitable they can be. They hire doctors to do these physicals, or individuals to do these physicals, so that they can decrease your chances of getting your claim accepted. And it's evil. It's fucked up. But also, let's talk about what happens when anyone has access to healthcare. All my Canadians in here, right? I'm sure you guys know that if you went to the emergency room right fucking now, unless you're dying, you're going to probably be sitting there for several hours, right? And this is a negative side of, socialism slash free healthcare system. Because what ends up happening is people go to the doctor for anything. Oh, my finger hurts, I'm going to go to the doctor, right? And then you end up with, extreme bloat, long wait times, healthcare that isn't as optimal because doctors aren't, getting paid enough. Then the innovation and the ingenuity, the thirst for it isn't there because people aren't getting paid. So it's a very delicate balance of rendering care to people and not letting them die, while simultaneously making sure that these people don't abuse the free system and ensuring that you are progressing and, creating more medical innovation to save more lives. So it's a balance. It's a fucking dance. But what I will say is, I think if we're going to implement any type of fucking socialism, right, which I'm not necessarily a fan of, if we are going to implement any of it, I think it needs to start with the healthcare system, not fucking public transportation or this other shit. All these public transportation companies, by the way, guys, are fucking negative, FYI. They're all negative, okay? The government bails their asses out every year. I don't even think any of these airlines are profitable, Chad. I'm almost certain American Airlines, United, the entire flight industry is negative, and the government subsidizes it, as with buses and all the other public transportation. So anyway, if you agree with my take, let me know. If you don't, that's cool. I'm always happy to listen to other opinions.